Guys, an emergency tray. An emergency tray, guys. So, you are there, you have been asked to prepare an emergency tray. You don't know how to prepare an emergency tray. You have just gone maybe to the maternity unit, to the labor ward, you have been posted, it's your first week. Then the sister comes there and says, make sure that everything needed in the emergency tray is there. Maybe you are in the outpatient department, maybe you are in the casualty department. And remember, in the hospital sector or in a hospital section, basically in the wards, in the labor units, in the newborn units, in every section basically of the hospital, you need to have your emergency tray. From the word emergency, it means that it comes very, very handy in times of crisis, guys. So, guys, here is the emergency tray, guys. It is not wrapped. I have removed the wrapping of the emergency tray. Remember to be a responsible nurse. You know very well that a good emergency tray, it is always covered. It is always covered. But mine, as you can see it, I just removed it. I'm not covered it or doing anything with it. So here's an emergency tray, guys. And clearly, it should be labeled after maybe covering or packaging it. You label it an emergency tray. So it becomes so easy in case of crisis, somebody is able to identify it quickly and save the situation on ground. So, what are the components or what do we need in an emergency tray? So, guys, it depends with the unit in which you are. Because what you're going to need maybe in the labor ward is not what you are going to need basically in the newborn unit. In the emergency tray of a newborn and the emergency tray of a delivering woman, or the emergency tray needed in the labor ward. So remember, that is why I'm saying in each and every section we're having different emergency trays with different components. But remember, in each and every emergency tray again, there are many common things that need to be there in the emergency tray. They're just the common things. The common each and every emergency tray will be having common things. It just varies with some little difference depending on the section. But guys, mostly all the emergency trays have the same components, guys. So we are going to open our emergency tray. We are going to examine what is in there. First, guys, you also need to have a chart in the emergency tray. That chart contains each and everything that you require to have in your emergency tray, guys. So you have to have a checklist, basically. It's known as a checklist, guys. So that checklist will be having each and everything, the drugs needed, the instruments needed in the emergency tray, and each and everything. So you can, in case you remove anything from this emergency tray now, you mark an X on the checklist. So it becomes easier now to refill it. Because if somebody just comes, confirm from the checklist, identify, oh, we are missing adrenaline. Adrenaline is OS in the emergency tray. So it becomes easier for the health worker to refill again or to make sure that the emergency tray is complete, guys. So you also, very important things, you need to know where to place your emergency tray. You don't go and hide it, guys. You go and hide it inside the cabinet. When the emergency crisis comes, even maybe you are not around, there are new staff there and they cannot clearly even identify or find the emergency tray. And there's an emergency there. There's a PPH, the woman is bleeding, the woman is bleeding, the woman is going into shock. Guys, we don't have any emergency tray there, we don't have the emergency drugs. Nigga, where do we find the emergency tray? The emergency tray is hidden in the cabinet, and being hidden, it's not really hidden, but guys, remember, it does not have each and every component needed in the emergency tray, in the emergency. So guys, it becomes a very tough or hard, a very tough work for the healthcare worker. So guys, this is the emergency tray. It contains many drugs in it, as basically we need to have it because you don't know, emergency can come anytime. Like it's never predicted. It's like Jesus. The way they say that Jesus can come anytime, that is how the emergency is. The emergency can always show up on our door at any time. That is why you always sit prepared. Just the same thing, you can't be in the maternity unit. Now, a woman comes, it's progressing very well, and now you're just seated there comfortably. But you say that anything can happen in the course of the delivery. So you can imagine maybe in the course of the laboring period, then the situation just turns around again, and you get now it goes into an emergency which was unexpected. So that is why you need to be always prepared, always having your emergency tray ready, always having your kids in there ready, always being ready, or psychologically. Psychologically prepared to handle an emergency. So, guys, in this episode, I've just introduced the emergency tray. So, in the next episode, guys, we are going to look into what is contained in the emergency tray, guys. So, in the next session, guys, let's enjoy the next session because we are going to celebrate and enjoy.